Hello and welcome back to Skyrim Guides, where we learn how to be successful, have fun, kick ass, and chew bubblegum. In this guide, we'll take a look at the differences between two-handed weapons and dual-wielding weapons. It's always been a big question for everybody, which is more deadlier, which is more practical, having a one two-handed weapons or just having a dual weapon, a weapon in each hand and just go dual attacking. All right, somebody who played this Skyrim a lot and tested different builds. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. So we got two-handed weapon here, right? Yeah, two-handed weapons are a lot slower, but they do a lot more damage. With one-handed weapons, however, we have this ability for dual wielding, which is over here. So we got dual wielding, which is over here, dual flurry. All right, so level 1 increases the dual wielding attacks by 20%, and level 2 increases by 35%. So basically, with dual wielding, you got any weapon here. I'll just take, let's see here. Yeah, just take that. All right, so with dual wielding, basically it makes your attacks 25% faster. So you basically just want to choose the first weapon to be a primary damage because that's the one you want to concentrate on, and you want the offhand damage to offhand weapon to be something else, some light weapon, such as, for example, let's go ahead and just put it as a dagger. Yeah, there we go. All right, dagger. All right, yeah, and that's because the offhand weapon will always be slower. So you shouldn't be using your offhand weapon and your main weapon at the same time, because it's much slower than the offhand weapon. Alright, so you're basically looking at your one-hand weapon damage to be 35% faster, which is basically equals to 35% more damage per second. Alright, so what does it mean? Does it mean my one-hand weapon is not going to be more powerful than two-hand weapon? Let's go ahead and take a look at the wiki. Alright, the very popular place to look at it is over here. Alright, the unofficial Elder Scroll pages, very good wiki. Alright, and here we're going to just take a look at the base damage of each weapon, one-handed weapons and two-handed weapons. And in here we can see the speed, so that's one attack per second, right, for swords, nice. And for two-handed weapons, which I usually go with battle axes, its speed is 0.7 attacks per second, so it's slower than 1 per second. All right, let's go ahead and just take a look at some of the combinations here. So let's go ahead and take a calculator. All right, let's just go ahead and see. If we use a steel sword, for example, right, we use a steel sword, its base damage is 8, right, and the dual fury speed modifier makes it go by 35% faster. So let's go ahead and do this. All right, so with dual fury, our steel sword would end up doing 10.8 DPS, basically. Okay, and that's without any modifiers, just by speed alone and using the base damage. All right, now let's compare it to steel double axe, for example. All right, so steel battle axe right here, its base damage is 18, but it's slower, attack slower. So let's go ahead and see how much that will do. So 18 times 0.7, and there we go. As you can see, it does more damage. A steel battle axe would do way more damage than dual wielding with double flurry with everything of a steel sword. All right. However, that difference does go away as we progress down the line. So it actually goes away at Skyforged steel. All right. If we have Skyforged steel battle axe, does base damage of 21. Right. Times 0.7 speed. All right. So Skyforged steel battle axe will do 14.7 DPS base damage. All right. So, however, Skyforged steel sword, 14.7. All right. To 11 times 1.3522. All right. So you can see Skyforged steel sword when used dual wielding it'll actually do slightly more damage in DPS wise, slightly more. And yeah, from there, the difference is only getting more and more. All right, so let's go ahead and just go Daedric, for example. Daedric is 14, all right, times 35% speed increase. All right, so it will do 18.9, 18.9. Right, and let's compare it to Daedric Battle Axe, which is 25, right? 25 times 0.7. Yeah, you can see here that dual wielding Daedric swords would actually do a little bit more damage than damage per second than simply wielding Daedric Battle Axe. So yeah, so right after Skyforge Steel is right at this point where we're actually starting to gain, where double wielding actually does slightly more damage than uh, simply double two-handed weapons. So yeah, and it does, only very slightly more. However, the difference actually goes a bit more as you keep improving the weapons with smithing. That's where the difference actually keeps increasing. However, the other blocker, small little issue with dual wielding, is that you actually have to get to level 50. Your one-hand skill has to be level 50, and you have to invest 2 skill points for dual wielding to work. That's a pretty big investment. 2 skill points, and waiting. You have to wait until you're level 50, skill level 50, to actually fully make use of dual wielding. Additionally, two-handed attacks actually dual wielding two-handed weapons actually increase skill faster from all my playthroughs when I use dual wielding versus two-handed. Two-handed usually increases a lot faster than one-handed attacks. So the skill gain is much faster, and you have to use far less skills in it. All right. So the other problem, small little issue with two-handed. Not that I'm looking for problems or anything, just looking at it. All right. So let's see if you want to use dual wielding two of the same attacks, right? Two of the same weapons, right? So we have the two maces, so we can do this, right? Okay, cool. Now we switch to spells. Want to do healing. All right. Let's put the weapons back. All right, cool, that works. And this only works because the Elven Maces are not improved. When we don't improve Elven Maces weapons, it works like that. However, let's go ahead and improve them because we're not going to use the weapons just at the base value. Let's just go to this grindy stone over here. Okay. All right, there we go. Alright, cool. Now the maces. Alright, now let's go ahead and equip it. Alright. Mace number 1. Mace number 2. Mace number 1. It doesn't work. And that is the problem. It's a possible bug in Skyrim, I guess. But you can't select a second weapon in your offhand. Like, once you improve the weapon, you can't select it. For example, we can also test it like if you try to improve a different, if you want to add a different weapon to your left hand, you just can't do it. Right? Let's say this one, Elven Dagger. Oh, look at that! I am equipped with my primary hand. Why can't I equip a weapon in my left hand? So yeah, that is a problem. That is a problem why I don't play with dual wielding anymore. And because once you improve a weapon, that's it. You cannot improve it, put it in your left hand. You have to manually go here, or here, right-click on the mouse button, and both. Wait, what's going on? Okay, hold on. Okay. Wow, it's got even more difficult here. Let's see. Why I cannot? Okay. Right. Okay, whatever. All right. So, if I ever use spells, like I have to use spells, okay, heal myself, okay, now I have to go back to my weapons, so I have to use a hotkey to put a weapon in my right hand. However, I cannot use a hotkey to put a weapon in my left hand anymore, so I actually have to use favorites, and then right mouse button, click over here, and there we go. Alright, so now I can use double-handed attacks again, dual wielding. Yeah, so that part is actually kind of very, very annoying how you can't just simply switch from spells and weapons back to dual wielding weapons. As long as you modify them in any way, you cannot switch back to them. So that really kind of kills the whole idea of dual wielding for me. All right. In contrast, if you use a two-handed weapon, right here, you can have, so you have healing and light skill. All right. We have here candlelight. We have healing. All right, we're done with spells. All right, let's put the weapon back on. All right, cool. There it is. Weapon's back. All right, let's put the weapon away and have the two spells. Put the weapon back. All right. So yeah, this really kind of makes two-handed weapons a lot more useful in comparison to dual wielding, where you have to constantly be using ferret and then selecting the dagger, and there we go. And yeah, you usually just use just the first weapon. You don't care about the offhand weapon because it's slower. Alright, so yeah, that's my take on weapons. Dual wielding versus two-handed weapons. And that's why two-handed weapons is just overall more superior. Even though later in the game they do slightly less overall damage per second than dual wielding does. Alright, thank you very much, and I will see you in the next guide.